Let's talk about Linda McMahon now, because we're now in this season where every day we're getting these new picks. President-elect Trump vowing that Linda McMahon will be a fierce advocate for parents' rights and help, quote, send education back to the states. But Denise, my question to you, is he going to send her packing? He doesn't even want this department to exist in the first place.
Well, sometimes you hire people to go in and destroy things. I mean, I'm not sure if he thinks there needs to be reform or if he's actually going to eliminate it. Nobody ever really knows what Donald Trump is going to do except for Donald Trump. But what I do think is going to happen is that she obviously doesn't have a huge background in education. She had 1 year on the Connecticut Board of Education. That's not that's not any sort of experience anyone's going to be pointing to in the confirmations to say, wow, you're qualified. So she's there purely as a Trump loyalist. She's one of his biggest donors. She's been there leading AFPI, his big think tank. She is going to do exactly what he tells her to do, and she has a tough job. Educational interests are deeply immersed in sort of the fabric of Democratic politics in particular in all the states, including Washington, D.C. So she's going up against some serious forces with deep pockets, and he needs someone who's committed to the job and doesn't have their own agenda, which is why I think he picked her.
Yeah. Richard, Denise brings up a point I hadn't thought of. Do you think she's been tasked with taking the department down? Is that her job?
Well, it seems like a lot of Trump's nominees are tasked with destroying their departments. Matt Gaetz brags about wanting to do that with the Department of Justice. Look, it seems that there are 3 criteria to be picked for many of these cabinet posts: loyalty, no relevant experience, and being good on TV. And I guess she checks those boxes. But there have been crown jewels that make the United States the strongest country in the world. Our education system, they want to destroy that. The pharmaceutical industry, they want to tear that apart. National defense and intelligence. We're not looking at a Secretary of Defense who's really strong there. And the rule of law. And Matt Gaetz wants to kind of undermine that. So I'm not quite sure that we're really making the United States stronger if these people get their way.
Denise, let me ask you one more follow-up question to that, because Trump was just handed a decisive win.
Right, and that's a great point.
Because the pendulum had gone so far left.
Right.
Immigration, woke culture,
Exactly.
you name it. But do you fear that these picks take that pendulum too far to the right now, to where it doesn't set up the next Republican presidential candidate for success in 4 years?
I think the point you just made is exactly the point I would have made, which is, look, Americans have delivered Trump all 3 branches of the government, right? So, or really 2, and both chambers of Congress. And I just think that if we don't see something seriously shaken up, I mean, these are things that he campaigned on, right? These are not things that have come out of the blue. This is not the first time we're hearing about destroying the Department of Education and doing mass deportations. Americans voted for him for a reason, and they said what their priorities were. And parents talking about the Department of Education are livid in the wake of COVID about their lack of ability to influence what their kids are being taught. And so this is definitely a cultural shift, but it's one that Americans are demanding. And the more that we talk to just the people in the Washington bubble, which I've been a part of, now I'm out of, I can tell you that being outside of the Beltway gives you a very different perspective on the issues that real Americans care about than all the ways that we talk about in Washington about keeping government as usual.
Yeah. I got to end it there. Denise Gitsham, Richard Goodstein, thank you so much.
So great to see you.
Richard, if you were here, I'd be shaking your hand too. Thank you as always for your time. Appreciate
Virtual.
it, sir. Yes, virtual handshake. Okay.